Okay, so for today's lesson, we're going to talk about equations, specifically regarding SAT maths equations. So the first thing we have here is little reminders. These are not the only things that you should know. This little disclaimer but these are just things that you should know for the upcoming questions. A negative number cannot be under any root. If you see a negative number, you should not put it under any root. Second point, x and x squared cannot be added or subtracted from each other. A lot of people do get confused by this point and be like, okay, they have the same variables, we can add them. But that's not the case because the powers are different. An inequality is treated as an equal sign. However, when divided or multiplied by a negative number, the inequality switches. Now, this point, a lot of people will just disregard, but this is really important because sometimes when you multiply it by a negative number, you don't realize, but you have to switch the sign. And the SAT always tricks you and puts the other sign in one of the options. So you're probably most likely going to circle it, but that should never happen. You see a negative number, you multiply it or divide it, you should always switch the sign. Now, this is our first example. It's an inequality. What we're going to do here, first and foremost, we're going to first find the y. I know the question isn't clear, but we need to figure out standard form. Okay, standard form is ax plus by equals c. Now, let's say we have 2x minus 5y. You're going to say, shouldn't it be a positive? Well, that's right. But when we have a negative 5 and then a positive, obviously the positive will turn into a negative. Now, that's just a little info I wanted to give you guys. So now let's just answer the question. Y is greater than 2x minus 1 and 2x is greater than 5. Now let's take this to the other side because standard form. So y minus 2x is greater than 1. Now let's just add them, because when we add them, this cancels out and this cancels out, and y will be greater than 4. That will be our answer. Now let's say we multiplied that by 1 for each side. It will equal minus y, and minus 4 is greater than minus y. But we didn't do that, so y is greater than 4. Let's do our next question. This one, you don't need to do any workings out for it. Let's remember one of our reminders in the previous slide. We said that a negative number should not be under any root. So first and foremost, when we have these type of questions, I want you guys to look at the options. Now, if you have a negative number, we just cancel it out. So a is negative, cancel that out. C has a negative, so cancel that out. D has a negative, we cancel that out. And 5 is the only option. We can't do a quadratic. We can't square it in both sides and get a quadratic equation, but that's going to get more messy and, kind of confusing. However, this method is most efficient, and yeah. Our last question for the day. This one, I'm going to find you a really fast way to do it. Now, let's look at the minus. The minus, we multiply it by this expression. So minus times minus 3x squared will equal a positive, and minus times 5 will equal negative 5. So let's write this down. Let's write this down. So minus 3x squared plus 5, we multiply by a negative, which will equal plus 3x squared minus 5. Now, negative 3 and a negative 5 will equal a negative 8. Now, we only have two options. That has a negative 8, so we cancel the rest out, okay? We cancel B and C out, D out. Now, let's add the variables. We have x squared and 3x squared. So we add them, which will equal 4x squared, and that will give us A as the answer. If you have any other questions you want me to answer, please just comment them down below and I will answer them for you guys in the next session.